week. There's no birthdays or anniversaries. Positive recognition. Haven't got anything here unless someone else wants to bring something up. Jump into switching, so Seb.
Yeah, good week last week. Got a few things come up with LSDF failed and a fuse failed. Just obviously signs that the network's getting older and older, so just keep an eye out on all that stuff. Just regarding fuses failing, I've emailed Damien because I noticed that we've got no liquid fuse canisters as well. I think Neil brought that to my attention when he was looking for some. So we've emailed Damien to try and order some, and we'll see what we get back from there when he comes back. I do have a switching bulletin here. This is for G&B related stuff. So the purpose is to advise the community of an update to the requirements for performing G&B work beyond a swerve backup recloser. So previously it was understood that a swerve backup recloser didn't provide adequate protection for performing G&B work beyond, as it had not been clearly defined in the e-drawings of the switching operator's handbook, and that if a main recloser was out of service, G&B work couldn't be performed on the feeder. So new clarification and direction: after a protection review by secondary systems protection engineers, it is permissible to perform G&B work beyond a backup recloser if the main recloser is bypassed. When both the main and backup recloser are in service, the main recloser is to be utilised as the protection device regardless if the backup recloser is downstream of the main recloser. Seems a little bit over my head, but I can do some more looking into this as well. So if the switching operator's handbook is being updated to provide clarity and on the requirements for performing G&B work beyond a backup recloser. We've had that one, and two last little things. Marking tape for the HV sticks. We've ordered a bunch of that in, so I've got some e-drawings here just out of the work instruction for how to put the marking tape on your sticks and the distancing for different voltages and whatnot. So people want to grab some tape, and I'll give them one of these as well. And just tough pads in the briefs. Just try and keep on top of bringing those in. If I forget, remind me and I'll remind you guys as well. So that's all I had. 19 days without incident.
No worries. I'll jump into some enablement events that happen. So this was on the 17th. While trying to turn right onto Manworth Road, impacted another vehicle next to the lane. So suggestion there is just be vigilant when you're driving, guys. Cars do try to get around trucks really quickly, so just keep that extra eye out. That's about it for that. Service vandalism, so just keep an eye out. Went out looking for some job stuff last week and found that two 200 amp over under services had their copper stolen from it. So just be vigilant. If you do see anything, report it straight away so we can get on top of it, replaced, and get something repaired if there's something broken. And then lastly, was a laceration to the wrist occurred while doing some underground faults, removing an old heat shrink from a 4-way joint. It was an approved knife. He was wearing gloves, and first aid was conducted on site and then taken to the emergency services. So he did everything right. So just another awareness thing. We've got our PPE on all the time. And yeah, I think that's still ongoing. I think a little bit. Yep.
Still on, yeah.
Cool. Flow on to some alerts. Joshy.
Yeah, spoke to you.
Yep.
First one I've got is rear left-hand wheels detached from a MEWP. So on Tuesday the 10th of October, a new mobile elevated work platform was delivered to the Wadena depot after inducting depot personnel on the new MEWP. The worker drove the replacement EWP towards Adelaide. Whilst travelling along the Lincoln Highway at 92 kilometres an hour in the vicinity of Tumby Bay, two left-hand rear wheels became detached from the truck, forcing the truck into the other side of the road. The driver was able to bring the truck under control and stop the truck on the correct side of the road. There was no damage to the vehicle, and there were no vehicles travelling towards the truck in the opposite direction. However, there were two vehicles travelling behind the truck. The wheels that dislodged went behind the truck, with one crossing the road, hitting the culvert and stopping in a paddock, and the other wheel travelled up the road, overtaking the truck. So yeah, pretty serious. Could have been a lot worse. The initial investigation has identified that the vehicle had been worked on the day prior by a local tyre service centre. This is an important line of inquiry. The investigation is continuing and further information will be provided in due course. So the impacts, there was no physical damage to the operator, the truck. There was minor damage to the rear wheel guard. The CTI and hub assembly was damaged. Two wheels and tyres were damaged beyond repair. Immediate actions. So whilst this event is currently under investigation to determine the cause, this event highlights the importance of pre-start inspections. Please ensure all personnel who drive and operate vehicles and equipment conduct thorough inspections. These findings are under investigation and will be published in Lessons Learned. So that's pretty important for us guys, like do our pre-start checks on all your vehicles, just shows it does happen. And the second one I have was a safety alert. So this was a light pole in a substation. So on the 12th of October, whilst working inside the Tony Park substation, the crew moved their workbench closer to where they were working. Whilst positioning the workbench, it was inadvertently placed too close to one of the light columns. In the yard, the pressure of the workbench against the light column caused the pole to fall over, landing on top of a nearby substation fence. Given the unsafe situation of the pole, it was necessary for the crew to move the pole. After conducting a risk assessment, the crew used an EWP to secure a sling around the top of the light pole. The EWP was positioned away from the light pole as a precaution, and the on-site forklift was then used to carefully lower the light pole to the ground. So again, impacts, no one sustained any injuries. The power to the light pole was disconnected and tagged out. Upon inspection, the light pole had significant amount of rust at the base where it failed. So look, from the pictures, yeah, there wasn't much holding this light pole together. So yeah, it looked pretty bad. Learnings and findings. Asset inspections are currently on a 5-year cycle. No objects should be placed against any structures within the substation yard. When accessing a substation, undertake a visual check to determine the condition of the plant and equipment.
Alright, I've got a couple here. Safety alert, worker lower back injury. So on October 9th, the worker was at BP Wash, washing a transit van, so a high one. While he was doing it, he miscalculated a step coming down and fell onto his left hip, shoulder and wrist. Impacts, the worker felt fine initially, continued his work throughout the day, woke up the next day, felt okay, but then gradually got worse. So he took himself to see the local GP where they were diagnosed with a lower back sprain. Learnings and findings, while the worker was concentrating on cleaning the roof of the van, he lost situational awareness, missed a step and fell over. So just be aware, if you're doing things that are abnormal, just keep vigilant, especially if there's slippery surfaces around. And then I've got another one here for third party crew working while they're doing an SLO. So in September, while testing of public light cables, TSW found that public light circuit had blown. The crew member went back to the depot to get a fuse. Upon returning to the site, he decided to do a little bit of patrol of the circuit. When he got to about halfway through or so, he found that there was another crew working on a pole that was supplying that circuit. So he didn't put the fuse in, left it out and left it for the crews on site to deal with afterwards. So there was no injury to personnel, there was no risk of the circuit being inadvertently energised as the crew were following procedures. Key points, tag out and isolation of circuits and energising should always be done as per the document process. The actions of the energy crew member by following procedure and inspecting the lighting circuit before installing the fuse prevented an inadvertent energising of the circuit and potential injury. So that's it for that one. So yeah, just if you do have things like that, and it probably is a good idea to do patrols if you need to, and always put on your do not operate tags as well when you're switching to, guys. Another one reason for having that. Ryan, I think you got a couple as well.
Yeah. So I got a lesson learned from an incident that happened earlier in the year. I don't know if everyone remembers, but there was an employee with a business that got struck in the eye when cutting a tree branch, and as a result, they've lost sight in that eye. So there was a detailed investigation. These are some of the learning points. So the task of cutting a tree at ground level is included in the GSW's indicative task list. The injured employee was wearing eye protection when the incident occurred and was very familiar with tree cutting, having performed the task on numerous occasions. Stored energy and weight imbalances when branches are on the ground under tension or compression can make branch movement less predictable when cutting. Tree cutting, vegetation clearance and other grounds and facility related work repairs must be requested through property services. So they were cutting trees in their yard and that wasn't raised through property services, then they'll raise a job and generally someone else will come out and do it. But someone like Bruce is probably pretty familiar with what they're doing and trimming some trees around their yard. Prior to using a chainsaw, SC Power Network personnel must be trained, familiarised with the piece of equipment and assess the associated risk prior by completing a thorough risk assessment. Anytime the situation changes, the risk must be reassessed and appropriate controls put in place. Whenever personnel undertaking infrequent tasks, leaders and personnel are to ensure they are supervised, trained and familiarised to carry out the task. Where an injury or serious incident has occurred, following an investigation, the related JSWP risk assessment, work instruction will be reviewed to ensure appropriateness to the task and management of the risk. So this is some of the things they brought up. They've also got some new PPE changes. So there's now a face shield that is required for safe use of chainsaws. Can be picked up through Blackwoods. Not sure if we've got any of them yet, but it's now being added to the JSWP for safe use of chainsaws. It does fix to our current hard hat, and when you're to wear them whenever carrying out tree cutting. And that's about that.
Just on that, right? Is it always carrying out tree cutting, or is it just the ground level? I did have a quick read myself.
Updated to the safe use of chainsaws, include the use of face shield attached to the safety helmet. That's all it says.
Oh, we'll have to look into that one.
Alright, and then leading on to that, there's a safety bulletin on injury management. So this is just to remind people, it has been revised recently. The responsibilities of managing an event when a worker is injured and requires medical treatment. The following will ensure your medical requirements are met, early intervention is initiated, and your workers' compensation claim is processed as quickly as possible. Alright, so there is someone called a return to work coordinator that will be appointed when it's required, and someone is issued. And they play an active role in the management of safe return to pre-injury duties for an injured worker. Following injury notification, the return to work coordinator will provide timely contact with the injured worker, offer support assistance to address the worker's needs and identify potential barriers to return to work. Workers' compensation claim. So an injured worker has the right to submit a claim for compensation following a workplace injury. The workers' compensation claim form should be completed together with your leader and the return to work coordinator. Once completed, the claim form and work capacity certificate must immediately be forwarded to the workers' compensation manager for determination. Right. So if someone's severely injured and trying to get back to work, there's a form you can get in and hopefully get you something for what's happened. I'm not sure. I've never had it done. Never seen it done. But some of the workers' requirements in this event, so you need to notify your leader immediately of the event. If your injury requires treatment by a recognised medical practitioner, ask your leader for a letter of introduction and ask the medical practitioner to provide you with a work capacity certificate. Everyone's remembering all this? Cool. Speak to your leader as soon as you have seen the medical practitioner to discuss your capacity return to work. Report the injury through an AGMON within 24 hours of the event. Be aware of your right to submit the claim for compensation form and complete the workers' compensation claim form. Provide to your leader within 24 hours also. I hope you haven't got a hand injury. In the event of work restrictions, participate in any recovery return to work process in consultation with your leader and the return to work coordinator. Alright, so it's a fair bit of a mouthful, but I'm sure your leader will help you through the process if it does happen anyway. Alright, and then leaders and managers ensure safe transportation of the injured worker, i.e. ambulance if necessary, to a medical facility. Immediately notify your manager, work health and safety manager, and operations manager, head of people, services, the whole business. Issue a letter of introduction to the worker, provide support and guidance to the injured worker, ensure action is taken to make the situation safe and prevent reoccurrence of the injury, and validate in the event in the NABLE in 24 hours or so. There's a couple of things there as well, but you get the gist. Cool.
Thanks, Ron. Just some general depot stuff. So there's something brought up in the 6's meeting and 8's meeting about apps going to sleep, into a deep sleep. So Nate and Julia are all over it. There's an instructions thing been printed out. It's all over Julia's desk in our room, the computer room, and there's also a copy at the St. Mary's. So it's just for the inspections. If you don't use the inspection app for 30 days, it resets itself, so you got to log onto your computer, do the QR code again. This is just to help avoid that. So if you want to get onto that, you can. If you have any issues, come see your leader or get hold of Nate. So we've got a voting for mental health leader. So 2 people have been nominated, Mick Glenn and Shane Arnold. So we're just going to do a show of hands vote of to who you guys want as your mental health leader within the depot. So while he's here, Mick Glenn, anyone that wants Mick Glenn, put your hand up.
Looks like
seems majority, so we probably won't bother asking for Shane. So congratulations, Mick. Just a reminder to carry a high risk licence at all times. Obviously with the audits being done by SAPA themselves or anyone else on site that may come out on site. So just make sure that you've got that readily available to yourselves. Toolboxes are going to be Tuesdays as of next week. There's another Relay for Life. It's an overnight team event to raise funds for the Cancer Council research. It's going to be happening at Balhana over the weekend of Saturday the 4th and 5th of November. So if you want to get involved in that or make a donation, there's a link that we've got here, or see Julia, she'll be able to get you through it, or if you want to join in on the night, we give her a heads up and she'll add you to the teams list. Lastly, depot member movement. So if you haven't seen, Chugga is now back. So he'll step back up obviously in his duties. Josh will stay the same. I'm floating around for a week and then heading to St. Mary's to take over from Jimmy. So that's about it. Anything general from anyone else?
There was still lots of keys left in trucks out the back after 3:30 last week. So to be careful with.
Yeah, just a reminder that if there's vandalism going on and we're leaving keys in trucks, that's just opening your trucks up for tools being stolen and stuff like that. So just a reminder, guys, if you're leaving at night, remember to take keys with you and lock the trucks up.
I've got a couple things. positive recognitions. I'll just add that thanks to everyone for all their efforts in the seconded roles recently. Welcome back, Trevor and Justin. That'll help. But yeah, everyone's been under a lot of pressure in those roles recently. Everyone's stood up and done a really good job, not only doing the role that they're seconded into, but also helping others that maybe in their role. So thank you. You heard Matt talk about it a bit at Safety out here the other day about us getting our swagger back and setting the Everton standard and doing the 1%ers. So I'm really keen to just ignite the conversations with everyone here around that over the next few months. So as a business, what can we do? What are the 1%ers we can do to get better? And then every individual role, myself included, what we can do to get better. I don't want us to compare ourselves to a Saffron Depot, because we're not a Saffron Depot. We've got different motivators to what Saffron Depots do. To be honest, I don't want us to compare to an Electel Depot. I want us to rate ourselves on us and strive to be better than we were yesterday, every day going forward. Because we are different, and we should be proud of what we do, and the work we do is fantastic. So let's just have a think about yourself and the business of what we can do to improve. Last week, the culture survey results. I finally had a chance to have a look at them all. So thank you to everyone that did fill out the survey, take the time. Some of it was hard to read, but it's honest feedback, so it's good. So from here, we're going to take that away and work on it. So it's not decisions myself or leaders want to make. We're going to do it together. So Leanne's going to find some time for us all to get together, probably in an hour or two, I'd imagine. But first, I just want to show everyone the results so everyone's aware of where it landed and what it is. It's just a bit of a scoring metric and soft percentages on different obviously questions that were asked. So we'll go through all that, and then I'll intend to break out into smaller groups so we can just sort of have discussions around what we think we can do better, and then hopefully from there get some tangible actions that we can take away and work on. But yeah, just want to give you an update because it was quite a while ago now that it was done, but it's certainly not just been forgotten about. It's down to each manager's level now to have a look at the results and take it from there. So yeah, that's coming as soon as we can fit it in the schedule, but it'll be this year. That was it from me.
Dean and Nick was before here to update your tough put, so if you could grab them so he just